All right, we have the 2020 Spring Major. It's been announced. Let's see here. It's going to be they've renamed these courses. So it's Jamil, Jamil Dunes, and it's actually the Dreaded Dunes. The Dreaded Dunes holes are exactly the same as these holes right here in the same actual order. So that's lucky for us because it's easy. And we're going to play these. It starts next week. We've got this Origin Links 9-hole cup. We're not going to get any practice on it, but what we will be able to do is we'll be able to, the Jamil Dune holes will be available in the 6-Star Hotel, Platinum Resorts, and Voyager Tours. So tours 4, 9, and 11 from Thursday, May 7th. So we'll be able to practice. We'll be able to get some really good time out with teammates and be able to play friendlies with our clanmates and friends. So this is going to be really awesome. And these holes, we've played these holes, I think just that one time in the Dreaded Dunes, and they were relatively new at that time. So when you get new holes, with the limited amount of time you have to practice them before the tournaments, you kind of got to pick your ponies. And my big focus has always been on par fours and par fives, like in the order of preference, par fours. I want to look at all the par fours that are on here, and I want to try and figure out what I can do to get eagles on all the par fours, whether we've got Albi opportunities on those par fives. And then for me, the par threes are the technical stuff, setting the par threes up. It usually takes me a tournament or two of playing those par threes before we can get them down. I know some of the people out there that demo shots. If you watch Hammer and Hank, he'll have numbers for these par threes that'll like dial them up. But so this tournament, I will work more. We'll have a little bit more time, so we know how we're going to play the par fours, and we know how we're going to play the par fives, so we can focus a little bit more on the par threes. But a lot of great holes here in the Dreaded Dunes. And let me tell you what I've done so far, and then I will go to the Dreaded Dunes. So I went to channel's doing great. We got 760 subscribers. Thank you guys very much. I am just absolutely amazed at the players. I'm amazed that you guys watch the channel, and I'm really happy I can help. And it's absolutely amazing. It's crazy. I started for my buddy, and here we are. I set up a playlist for the 2020 Spring Major, and I'm going to put this video at the top, and I put holes from the Dreaded Dunes tournament. Most of them are from the front nine on the weekend. I did catch the eagle on. I missed the eagle on hole number 5, so I caught it on hole number 14, so I put that on there, and I was able to pick up the eagle on number 1 in the opening round. One of the holes here, one of the par threes, and I think it's hole number 4, I was looking through my list and watching some of the videos for like the weekend round for my low level account, and I hit that hole in one on that hole 4 times, and I don't have one of them on video because I didn't record all of the rounds. I just recorded in my low level account. I didn't record my practice account, and I hit in my low level account. I don't know what happened to one of the rounds. I don't know, but the shot that I'm doing, I was close, and there's other shots that are on there. So now that I get a chance to look at them, and there's some other shots that we can explore on those. So great watch there. I went through and watched the videos and I have my notes from the Dreaded Dunes because we didn't play that tournament that long ago. So a lot of the stuff will be the same. Some of it's going to be different because that came out before the club card trading. So there were some clubs that got buffed right before the club card trading. And then when the club card trading came out, some cards got upgraded. And so some of the clubs that I used the backbone, and I will never use a backbone again. Why would I when we have a Grizzly? So there's some of the clubs that are in there that and the extra mile getting upgraded. So some of it will be a little different. But let's go to Golf Clash Notebook. We're still dealing with coronavirus, still going through the deal. And our numbers are not going down. So that's where we're at. So let's go to Golf Clash Notebook and go to courses. And we will go to the Dreaded Dunes. Dreaded dunes. All right, we got a lot of stuff here. I set a timer. I set a 45-minute timer, so the timer will go off in 45 minutes, and let me know I got just a little bit of time to get these done. All right. What I was doing in the tournament, and on my what I have on my pre-weekend notes, and then what I did is I was bringing out a big topper on this hole, and I was trying, and my original ball, I was bringing out a bigger ball, like a fireworks ball. And what I was trying to do was get my big topper. The first bounce was out in this area. My second bounce, I was trying to get clear of this sand so that my second bounce was in front of the sand. And it is a narrow, and you've got to use curl. So stepping back a little, let's look at where the tee box is. See if I can zoom it out a little more. No, it's a big hole. So you can see where the tee box is down here. So the tee box is down in this area right here, and where you want to get is kind of on the other side of the sand. So you draw this line right here, and you're right in the middle of all this crap. And my big topper, I couldn't get enough from where the red line is. My second bounce is in this area, so I couldn't clear all that. So I had to start off coming off in this direction right here. So remember that. And so we're going off. Come in here and we're going off in this direction. So what I'm trying to do, I'm coming like this. What I was trying to do was come in so that I was coming in with some curl. And what I really wanted to do was come up this path. And I made that several times in the week, but you're using curl. Now, one of the things that'll help you is if you have grid and you want to try this shot, you'll be able to set up a special tick. So the first time you hit it, you can go back and watch that video. This is why it's really important to record your own gameplay. You can go back and watch that video and you can see like, hey, I had my ball set up in the ring and here's my center line for in my grid, and I've got them set up every 10. And so I was like right here, and you can set up a special one, or I was right here so that you know how much curl to put on there so that you can try and standardize that a little bit. This to me, the curl line is a huge benefit of the straight up line. The grid line that's here is not as big a deal as for me as the grid line, because I can use it instead of the take shot down here to pull my ball up. So there's benefits to it. I was trying to get up. In the video that I showed, I ended up in the sand, or not in the sand, but in the rough right there. And it's difficult because if you get caught up behind these trees are in play. And so you can end up way the heck up there, but trying to get to the green. And I had that happen to me quite a bit in this tournament where I was out in this area right here. I made it somewhat up into the mouth, but a couple times I was in front of the trees and had great shots. A couple times I was behind the trees and had a shit shot. I was over here in the rough and I was able to sink the rough shot. Now, I've learned a few things since these tournaments, since this came out. And one of the things that I've learned is that on these par fours, I am really big on par fours about trying to get eagles on par fours. This is, in my opinion, this is where we make our money. And what I've learned since this tournament, and I talk about it in the video when I'm shooting this, is that would you rather take the shot where sometimes you're in the perfect spot and you've got this great opportunity to go in and you still have work to get done. You still have to get that shot in. But you have a big chance of epic failing out here and getting behind these trees and not having any shot at it at all. Or would it be better to just lay it up right here with a rock and a kingmaker and bring a hornet, and you're in short iron range and you've got a short iron shot from out here to the cup every time, and you can really focus on working this shot. And you have to hold yourself back, because I'm talking about this right now and my mouth is moving and I'm saying the words, but my brain is going, hey dummy, you're going for it. And so you really have to restrain yourself, because the thing is we all know that if you get up here, that is beautiful. But if you get down here and you're behind the trees, that blows. And we all have these fond memories of, yeah, man, I was up there and I had this short little chip, or I was right on the fringe, and that's great. But how many times did you mess up and you were in the sand, or you were in the rough, or you were behind the trees, or you were in the sand, or you were over here before you got that? as opposed to laying it up out here and you would have had a hornet shot every single time, every single time, every single time. And you could really work this hornet shot. So as much as my brain is telling me right now, dude, you're going for it, I really think the high percentage way to do it is to get out here and give yourself a shot 100% of the time. And if you hit it perfect, it's in the hole. Whereas you may or may not end up here. And then you still have a little bit of work to do. So I know that I'm gonna, in practice, I'm gonna come out here and I'm gonna do this, but I really am gonna try and force myself to just lay it up and have confidence in my short iron that I can get it in the hole and I can hit it perfect. And really, that's you get to make that choice. That's what's cool about this, is you get to make these choices when you're doing it. I was doing like a 10% wind adjustment on here. I had several numbers on here and I kept crossing them off. I had 10, I had 20, I had 30, and then I went down the scale and then I was at 10. Because I did make it up here several times, and then I was like, hey, I ended up behind the trees and ended up behind the trees and ended up over here in the sand, and then I went to a different shot. And I'm not exactly sure about the elevation adjustment. If you're way up here, I don't know that you're going to need any elevation, but if you're back over here, you might need a 10%. That was hole number 1. Hole number 2. Now these par 3s, I will tell you that it's going to be about the wind. So there is a bounce over shot that you can do from this point right here to get towards the cup. That gives you a pretty decent look at a hole in one. I was trying a shot where I was in this area right here and I was trying to backspin it to the hole, and I had varying success on it. I did not have varying success. I'm not sure. I probably made at least one hole in one on this during the week, but I don't have it on video. So that's not good. 3 accounts. That means I was on this hole 15 times and I may have gotten one hole in one. So my percentage on here, so anything I tell you is not, may or may not help you. If you're having any problems on this hole, you can backspin it on. But I'm going to be curious to see how the wind's blowing, because we can do a rough bump here. And I didn't explore that when this hole came out the first time, because I was focused on, there's a lot of holes that we can pick up shots. And I was focused on those holes. And these par 3s, I was just trying to make sure that I didn't have any epic fails happen on the par 3s, because there's a ton of other spots in this course for us to have epic failures. And I did not want them to be on the par 3s. But there is a rough bump that we can do here. Depending on the ball that we bring out, we may be able to access this area. Let's see if we can get where the hole's in there. So we may be able to do a rough bump from here and we're coming up, or we could get out into this area right here. So it's going to depend on the wind. If we have a pure side wind, I like this area right here if we can reach it. Because if you make a bad wind adjustment, you're going to be here. You hit a grate to the left, you're here. You hit a grate to the right, you're here. You were aiming for this spot. And so you're still in the rough and you're still coming forward. If we have this side wind and we can't get to this area, and I don't know why I brought a Titan with a backbone. So, and I think I was like out in this area right here. So I'm not sure if my red line would have got me up there. So you may have to bring a 3-power ball, or you may have to bring even a bigger ball. If the wind is blowing sidewind and let's say we can't get to this area and we have to use this, I'm not sure I'm going to be interested in that. Even if it's like, hey man, you do this shot and you hit it perfect. Yeah, the key word in that sentence was if you hit it perfect. Because if you hit it great to the left, you're in the sand. You hit it great to the right, you're in the fairway, and you're going for a ride. The other thing I don't like about this is, look at this shadow right here. This sand drops off big time. And if you're having to adjust a side wind and the wind was going in this direction, you're going to have to pull over the sand to take the wind out. And that's not good, because it's going to be a very tricky adjustment. If the wind's blowing this way and you could blow into the fairway, it's not going to be as tricky of an adjustment, but you're going to have to hit that perfect. For me, this is why sometimes when there's rough bumps and you go, dude, you should do the rough bump. It's because it's this type of rough bump right here. And I don't like those types of rough bumps. I like these types of rough bumps. I like it where I'm coming out to the hole and I like a side wind on this. If we've got a headwind or a tailwind, if we had this area right here, might not be a bad area for me if we had a tailwind, because at least I've got something to the left but I don't like having to pull over the sand. So I'm going to look at the bounce over shot this time, because the last time we were in the tournament, I wasn't dinking around with it. I went right here and I went right at it. But I am going to explore the bounce over shot and see what that looks like. But once the tournament happens, we'll get an idea of which way the wind's blowing, and I may change my tune and go, hey, this is a great spot for a rough bump. If I hit perfect 95% of the time, I wouldn't mind these rough bumps like this, but I don't hit perfect 95% of the time. So I'm not gonna risk my round on a par 3 when I can go right here and get up to the hole and give myself at least a look at it. Hopefully that makes sense. Hole number 3. Hole number 3. Da 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 da. All right, this big par 5 right here. Okay, what I was doing on this hole, and we have an Albie shot on this hole. What I was doing was, I am not a fan. The greenskeepers are pissed that they have to maintain this area over here, because nobody should use it. Hey, if you want to use that area over there, get on it. I won't be able to help you because I don't know what the shot's going to look like over there. You're hitting it like, if you do the arc like to this spot right here in your arc in your club, I'm not interested in making myself be further from the hole when I can get in this fairway. So I'm not interested in doing that. Maybe from the back tees, maybe that's what they have to do. Maybe they have to get way out here to the tip to come in at it, and maybe that's the deal. But what I was doing on this hole was bringing an extra mile and a Titan. I was doing max overpower, maximum left-hand curl. Hold on, I'm looking at my notes here. I was doing max overpower, maximum left-hand curl, and at that time I had an extra mile 8, and I was doing 2 less than max topspin. I know that sounds weird, but that was easier for me than having to sit there and count the topspin. Hey, Buster, get. And I was aiming. My dog is trying to tear me up. So from the tee box right here, I'm aiming dead center towards this area, and my ball guide's pointing me out in this direction. And I was putting on, like I said, maximum overpower, max left-hand curl, 2 less than max topspin, and going in maximum left-hand side spin, and trying to bring my ball, and it with the 2 less than max topspin, it was putting me like way down in there. If you put max topspin on your extra mile, you're going to end up in this rough. So, and you'll have to gauge that and try that out with yours. So it's max OP, max curl, max left-hand side spin, trying to get up into this area right here. And I have plenty of room on the left-hand side. So the way that I was setting the shot up, being dead center in the middle of this area when I was coming through. So I've got my ball guide going dead center in the middle of this before I put all that action on it, is that I can hit I know that I can hit a 1 ring to the right, and I will just clear that and come out in this direction, and I can hit 2 rings to the left. And I purposely set it up so that this was the way it is, so that I gave myself a little bit of breathing room on either side. And the reason I did is because if you end up over here on the right and you've got a Nirvana or a Spitfire, you can recover. You can get up there and recover. If you end up over here in the rough, you're SOL. You're done. Okay? You're shooting. Now you're scrambling. Now you're going to have to scramble to get up there. So you do not want to epic fail up here. You want to either epic fail down here, or you want to end up in this. But ideally, we want to get in the fairway right up here. And we have a pretty straight in shot. I was using at the time a backbone, and I was doing a plus 30% wind adjustment to the cup. So my shot to the cup, I was doing plus 30%, and I was using a backbone. I'm going to be using a Grizzly now instead of a backbone, because the backbone, as far as I'm concerned, doesn't exist anymore. And so I'll be using a Grizzly and doing plus 30% to go to the cup. That's how I'm going to play that hole. So I'm going to play dead center down the middle, trying to get into this area, first bounce out here, trying to get over into this area, and going straight out with a Grizzly. And this is an albiable hole. This spot out here is very, very, very albiable. especially now that we have a Grizzly, because we have it's a more accurate club. It's got a little bit better ball guide. It has more stuff. So we have a better shot of getting algae. This is a very alveable par 5. Hole number 4. And I was doing once, was it this one right here? No, it wasn't this one. We have several ways that we can go at this. I saw people during the week that were doing the bounce over the sand, and I will tell you, I'm not a fan of that. I saw a lot of people that were getting like right up here against the edge of the sand. They were getting way too damn close to that sand as far as I was concerned. That means anything you hit to the left is in the sand. So I was leaving myself lots of separation out here, trying to go at it with my Saturn and a katana. And I was half my blue ring out. So I was 2.5 rings away from the sand. And I was doing maximum backspin, 3.5 left-hand side spin with plus 10%. And I did hit, like I said, 3 or 4 hole-in-ones on this hole, but I don't have any of them on video. But the shot that I show in there, I hit it great. I think I hit it great to the right, and it had the right stuff on it. It was just I hit it great to the right. But this is these par 3s, this tournament, because this is the second time we played these holes, I will be playing these par 3s, and I will be doing a little bit more research and watching a little bit more video. And my teammates, I'm sure, will be posting stuff on these par 3s, and I'm going to keep an eye out. What I'm looking for when I see shots is I want to see the shot where somebody's made that shot 3 or 4 times so that I know, like, hey, it's replicatable, because we can all go out there and get a hole-in-one or get some shot, but whether we can go back out there and do it again, that's always the big question. So the par 3s I'm going to be working on, but once again, this was a brand new holes for this tournament, and I don't mess around on par 3s when we got brand new holes. There's other holes we can make up shots, and I went straight at it with backspin. And I know that's lower percentage chance for hole-in-one, but it's also a higher percentage chance that you won't epic fail. Hold on, Buster, what are you doing? You got all kinds of stuff. Let's roll, boy. All right, sorry about that. Okay, hole number 5. This hole right here. All right. You can use, if I remember correctly, the shots that I have on here were with an extra mile. You can use, if I remember correctly, a big topper from this spot right here, and I'm not sure how big of a ball you have to bring out with the big topper. I'm using an extra mile and a 5 power ball, and I'm trying to get over into this area. And the deal is that you can get over into this area with a 3 power ball, but you have to do max overpower. And I want you to look at this course. Look at how big this fairway is, and look at how big this fairway is, and look at how big that fairway is, and look at all this fairway over here. That is monstrous. And look at this little tee neck that we have to hit through. If you are off, you are going to be in the brown stuff. Okay, that's just how this hole works. So I brought out a power 5 ball, so I didn't have to do any overpower. I think I did just very slight overpower. So my notes say very slight curl. And I mean, like, here's your ring set, and I was just pulling it down here to the corner, and very slight overpower, just enough, and I'm using the wind just enough to get me over to that side and trying to run it up through that opening. But I don't think I could get, I think if you had an extra, with a big topper, you might be able to get over into this area with a power 5 ball with OP. So there's ways to explore this hole depending on the clubs that you have. So we'll have to see like what club you've got. This is why I always encourage people, like on Mondays, this is your practice day. This is the day for you to go out there and establish what club that you want to play with, so that when when the tournament starts, which way you're going to go out. Are you going to go out with an extra mile and a power 5 ball so you don't have to do OP? You're going to use an extra mile and a kingmaker? You're going to use a big topper? How are you going to do it? But the goal is to try and get up into here so you have a chip. And this is a very, very eagleable par 4 if you can get up into this area. And I'm curious to see what an extra mile 9 will do because of the extra topspin that's on it. In the last tournament, in the Dreaded Dunes tournament, you could get up into this area right here. I think I was on one time, but most of the time you were just laying up here and you still had some work to get done. And I missed this shot in the weekend round on the front 9 and was able to get it back on the back 9. But this is a shot that we need to pick up the eagle. I mean, this is some low-hanging fruit right here. And we need to set ourselves up for the eagle up there and get ourselves into close range. But I'm definitely going through this path, and it'll just be for you depending on which clubs you have in your bag. You may net more yards with a big topper and the top spin than you would with your extra mile. So you're going to have to play this hole a little bit and see like where your big topper red lines are and try out different balls. If you don't have a good ball selection, don't waste too many of those balls. What you do is you go out on a hole, and this is why it's cool that we're going to be able to play friendlies. You can go out on a hole and you can try out all of the balls that are in your inventory to see like where it puts your club, and then pick a white ball and then just time out. And then your opponent can do the same thing. And that way you can see what a bunch of different red lines are going to look like with different balls. And then you can take your shot. So we definitely want to work to get up here on this hole. All right, that was hole number 5. Hole number 6, the big par 5. All right. So here's the thing. I think in the last tournament, I saw 1, maybe 2 other people do what I'm going to show you right here. And let's talk about all of the options, but let's talk about the options first, and then I'll tell you what I'm going to do. And once again, I say that now, this is what I'm going to do. Most people who come to this hole are looking through this gap because they've got their club out, and they look through this gap, and their extra mile is hitting way up in here, and they're got this big ball, and they're like, man, I can drive that sucker all the way down to the end down there, and I can have a great shot. And you're absolutely right. You have a great shot. Even if you end up right in here, you have a great shot because you can clear this and you can get out into your sniper range here, and you've got a pretty good shot coming at it from that direction. And I will admit, you have a great shot if you're out here. If you can get past this sand and get out into this area right here, if you bring a big ball, you got to respect these par 5s. I see people come on these par 5s all the time, and they have navigators, and they go out there, and then they're short. Their red line's way back here, and they're doing all this hero stuff, and then they get all red-faced, frowny face. And it's like, dude, you came to this gunfight and brought a freaking Nirvana, and now you're upset, or a navigator, and you're upset. When you come to these par 5s, this is a big par 5. Bring a big ball. That's why we don't want to waste those balls when we're playing one-on-one. We want to save them for these types of holes in the tournament. That's why it cracks me up. We just had those Black Widow balls, or 5-power balls, and people are out there playing Tour 3, with them, and I don't get it. I saw people playing par 3s during the last tournament with them, and it's like crazy. Like, save those. You're going to regret having gotten rid of those unless you bought $100 pack and you got money to blow. But you're going to see most people are going to try and get out into this area, and they're going to try and get down here. They're going to try and pound that ball down there as far as they can. And there's nothing wrong with that. But if you don't hit this shot going through this neck perfect, you're going to be in trouble. And if you end up out here, or you end up over here, it's not going to matter. You're not going to be able to make it on. And you just went from, hey, I'm trying to give myself a chance for Albie, and you just put yourself in birdie. And I'm not interested in trading an Albie for a birdie when I have an eagle that's super easy to get. And here's how you super easy get your eagle. I bring out a rock with a kingmaker. And here's what my notes said in the last tournament, in big capital letters with underlines below it. It says, hole 6, 15, par 5, lay up. Eagle is all we need. Okay, because this is a hole that a bunch of people are going to epic fail on. Are there going to be some people that get an Albie? Yes. Are there going to be some people that get a par? Yes. Are there going to be a bunch of people who get a birdie? Absolutely. Okay? And I do not want to be in that group. This is a tough hole that can eat your lunch. And what I am doing is bringing a rock and a kingmaker, 4 backspin, maximum right-hand side spin. And I am coming, and I'm staying way the hell away from this sand. And I'm not trying to get it around the bend to get it in here. I'm just laying it up at 300 yards right there. That's all I'm looking for. And here's the thing. If you look at this, I'm trying to use this I'm doing a bounce over with a big dog. From here, I'm 2 rings of separation from this rough with a big dog. And we'll talk about the setup for the big dog, but I'm trying to get into this window. So if we draw the line here, so if you're going to use this window and you draw a line out here, you don't want to get much further forward than right in this area right here, or you've actually kind of taken the window out. And if you're going to use this shot right here to get into the distance right here, you really need to be up here in front of the sand. So this area right here is kind of like no man's land, and you don't really want to end up in that spot. You either need to commit to laying it up, or you need to commit to getting it past this spot. You don't want to be up here in the middle. So the shot that I'm taking is I'm doing a layup shot right here with my rock and a kingmaker, 4 backspin, maximum right hand side spin. And you'll have to adjust that for your club, whether you're using a QB or you're using a whatever. Ideally, you want to use a club that's got 100%, because we're doing a layup. And the worst thing that can possibly happen to you is when you do a layup, you screw the shot up and you end up in the sand, or you over curled it and you did something, or you end up over here. That's the worst thing that can happen. When you're doing a layup, that's super dangerous, because if you screw that layup shot up, you are in big trouble. Okay. So you have to go in with the idea that, hey, this is a layup. I don't have to put a bunch of stuff on it. Hey, if I was going to put a bunch of stuff on it, I would go for it out here. I'm just going to do a little layup right here, and then I'm going to bring a big dog. And the way that it was working for me is I was in between about 297, 300. I think in the video I shot I was at 295, but it was pretty much right there, like 295 to 300. That was kind of the range where when you're out here, you're going to see that 295 to 300. And when I was in that range with a big dog, 2 rings off this transitional surface, 2.5 less than max topspin. And it worked out to, I think I wrote this down, I think it was like 5, where was it? 5 topspin is what it was. But sometimes it's easier to do, instead of counting the topspin, it's easier just to take 2.5 off. Going right up through the middle, no overpower, no nothing, just taking a nice clean shot. And I was trying to go right down the middle of this so that I could hit a great to the left or a great to the right and still clear it. I wasn't trying to get greedy. I'm not trying to get Albie. If I can get an Albie on this, it is going to be 100% pure luck. But what I did in the last tournament was I got an eagle every single time I played this hole, taking this shot. And we all have a club like a rock that can get us into this area right here. Ideally, you may be able to do it with a QB, because the QB's got a little bit more, as far as distance, it's got a little less distance, but it's got a little more topspin. And I'm using 4 backspin, so there's ways to get out here with a 100% accurate club. And everybody's got a big dog. So, and the big dog gets its distance right off the bat, and it's got topspin and it's got all of its stuff. So you can get this shot done even if you've got low developed stuff. And I've got the eagle on this every time, even with my 99 account, 99, odd, 77, all my accounts. I got eagle every time, just doing a layup. And I watched opponent after opponent after opponent end up out here, and maybe half of them, probably a little less, got eagle, and the rest of them ended up epic failing. So I'm not interested in epic failing on this hole. Okay, when I can get a really good eagle with a pretty easy shot. So that's how I'm going to go at it. But that's just, you'll have to play those to see what the deal is. But try going out here, see what the look is, see how you like that. But the first time you get caught up out here, I'll challenge you. The first time, go out on this hole and pound that sucker down here and get out here and see what it looks like. Give yourself that look, because it does look awesome if you can get out there, way out there. But the first time that you get caught up right here, I want you to lay it up right here and bring a big dog, and I want you to try this shot. And this shot here is pretty simple. I mean, you still have to know how to set shots up, and you still have to know how to take out wind. But if you can lay yourself up here, you got a really good shot at getting an eagle. All right. That was hole number 6. Now, the cool thing about this tournament is these last 3 holes, you really seriously have a chance for hole in one, eagle, albie. And especially the last 2 holes, the eagle and the albie. But there is a pretty good, I was doing, man, these holes, just this hole right here and hole number 4. This is the wrong deal here. Somebody screwed this up. Hold on one second. Hold on. Hold on. Because one of those holes was wrong. So let me pause for a second. I'm going to find the right hole. All right, this is not perfect, but it's better than the wrong hole. And so on this particular hole right here, this is another hole that I was playing. Once again, when we're on brand new holes, I don't like messing around with them. So I'll typically come at them with backspin and get that shot worked out. And usually when they're brand new holes, by the time we get all that stuff worked out, it's the tournament started. I made quite a few hole-in-ones on this hole during the week. And I came at it with a Saturn. Make sure I don't have any on there. So I came at it with a Saturn and a Marlin. And you could use a low wind ball. And I had a Saturn 6.5 backspin and no side spin, plus 10%. And I went right straight at the cup, starting off I was not quite 2 rings off of this transitional surface right here. I was maybe like a ring and 2/3 and going straight at the cup, and you hit it perfect, and you're close right there. And it was a safe, consistent shot. And then if I hit it great to the left or the right, I was still at the cup and get my birdie and move on down the road. There is, looking at this hole here, there is a rough bump that we can do on this hole. And it's once again like the previous hole I talked about. It's going to depend on which way the wind's blowing. So if we have wind that's blowing like this, if you're in this rough and you get the wind adjustment wrong, you're still in the rough and you're coming out. If the wind's blowing like this, then you can make your adjustment over the fairway, and as long as you make a really good adjustment and you hit it perfect, you're probably on. If you can get up into the front of this, like if I was going to take this type of rough bump, I would want to get up into the front and hope that I have a side wind. But it's all going to be wind dependent on whether or not I'm interested in doing the rough bump. Now you may be able to do, and that seems like a long shot to come over from this side to do a rough bump. I think that you'd probably have to engage this. I'm not sure like you could get it up from here to do the rough bump. But I was doing a backspin shot right in this area right here, coming straight at the cup, no side spin, and just going right at it. And that is a makeable shot. So I'm going to work on these par 3s. This will be another one, but this is of the 3 par 3s that are in this tournament, this one right here, right now. And I say that at the beginning of a lot of terms, like, oh man, this is not a high percentage par 3, and then I end up working that shot out, and then I figure out some way to make that a higher percentage par 3. But I'm gonna go back to my shot here. But when I get this in practice, I'm gonna try some wild stuff. I'm gonna come at it from a bunch of different ways and try it in practice and see how difficult that is, because we won't know. Like you could get out there and practice and you could make one of those rough bump shots and go, that is the shot. And then in the tournament, we have wind that's flowing from this direction. And now we have to pull over that sand, and it's going to throw our adjustment off. And that may not be the shot anymore. The last tournament, I had a shot on one of the par 3s on hole number 1 that I had worked out, and it was there. I mean, I was like, bam, I worked out my numbers, and I was like, hole in one, hole in one, hole in one. I hit 4 hole in ones in a row. Man, that is replicatable. And then the wind in the tournament was blowing, so that we had to adjust over the sand, and I had to bag that shot and go to a different shot. So I'm going to come at it from a bunch of different ways, and then I'm going to see which way the wind's blowing, and I'm going to pick one of those ways. But in the worst case scenario, I can always do that backspin shot. So that is hole number 7. So let's go back. And I noticed also in this 9-hole cup, this Origin 9-hole cup, whoever put the last bunch of stuff in, let me pause that because we haven't hit 45 minutes because I just spent a little bit of time. I just spent 5 minutes trying to find that hole. In the 9-hole cup, hole number 9, they've got it listed as a different hole, that it was in the 3rd anniversary tournament, and it wasn't. So whoever did the last update at Golf Clash Notebook got it wrong. This hole right here, I have asterisks on my note sheet. I have 2 of the par 5s or par 4s that I have asterisks on that we need to pick up eagles. And this is absolutely one that we need to pick up this eagle. And it is doable. But I will tell you that this particular tournament, and I am just the messenger, don't shoot the messenger. I burn through. If they offer power 5 balls and you can beg, borrow, steal, take your little sign out, need balls for Golf Clash, and go stand on the corner by outside of your house and see if people will give you some money so you can buy power 5 balls. You're gonna burn through some, because this hole right here with a power 5 ball, if you can get, I believe I was using an extra mile, and I'm going to be curious to see how some of these holes respond with the extra mile 9 as opposed to the extra mile 8. And need to work on trying to get extra mile cards anytime you see them in the store, buying a few of them, but trying to get those extra mile cards so that you can get that extra mile 9. Trying to get my second bouncer that's in front of the sand and literally going right at it. Max overpower, max topspin, using the wind and trying to go straight up through this area and end up out here. The closer you can get to the green, the better. And I came through here several times where I clipped this rough and I just bled out here in front. And you're in wedge range. Anything in front of this, you're in wedge range out here. So out here, you're more towards, you're not at max club, but you're getting close to max. You're right at max, really. And so that's when you're back here on the line. If you can get forward, bring that back up. So here you're a max club, here you're a mid club, and you really want to try and get up into this mid range, but you can get up into this area and give yourself a wedge shot to get to the cup. Now you can you can get it up into this area right here pretty easy, and once again you have a short iron shot, but there's nothing impeding our path here. So if I can get forward roll, I'm going to try and go for the forward roll. And this hole right here, I'm definitely trying to get up into this area to get into my wedge range. And I want to see what the extra mile can do, but this is one of those things where it took a power 5 ball in order to get up there. And you do give yourself a really serious look at an eagle if you can get yourself up into that area. So I was using an extra mile. I was using an autumn ball, which only has one side spin, 5 power, and I don't know what the wind was on it. Max OP, max top spin, and using my rapier to bring it home. Hole number 9. I have a serious Albie look on hole number 9. Power 5 ball. I'm just a messenger, man. You can get your red line up in this area, somewhere up in here, just depending on the level of your extra mile. And trying to doing once again a max overpower shot, trying to get through. You may clip the rough and end up down in this area. And I think if you were down in that area that I can't remember if you got down in this area right here, if you made the fairway, if you were in short iron range, or if you were in long iron range, if you were in the back and you were short iron range, if you were more towards the mid. But you can get down into this area right here in 1. And I saw a lot of people in the tournament that were getting all the way down to the end down here, and you have a serious shot of getting down there. But to get through this area right here is tricky, so you'll have to set it up based on the clubs that you have in your bag. So whatever level, you may be able to get this done with a big topper. I think earlier on in the week, like the shots that we were exploring, like earlier on in the week, I did lay it up out here, and it's hard to lay up out here because of the way that the course is. Like I think I brought my big topper and I was out in here and I was actually curling it around and I was laying it up in here. And then I came out here one time with an extra mile and I was I went max OP and the wind was blowing in the right direction in practice. And I was like, wow, you can get over this. That's a game changer. But I'm going to be trying to get my ball so that my red line's out in this area. And we're using max overpower and trying to get over this rough. Trying to get one bounce here, get a second bounce out here so that I'm riding along the fairway. And I'm not sure how far you can get out there. I think most of the shots that I took during the tournament, I was in either in the rough or I got caught up in it or I just bled out. I ended up here in the rough in the video that I posted, and I was able to make that for Albie. And I did that twice during the week where I was in the rough and I ended up going in and making the rough shot. And I had pretty good distance. If I'd have been out here, I definitely would have been in short iron range. I wasn't very far out there. It might even have been wedge range. I was so far out there. So I'm definitely going for this island because anywhere you end up out here in the rough, anywhere, you can get on, especially if you have a Nirvana. Now, if you've got lower developed rough clubs, and you've got a lower level account, that might be super dangerous because if you end up in the rough up here, you may not be able to get all the way on. So laying up here may be the shot. And then in that case, you're going to then go at the hole. And I don't know, I can't remember what club distance you're in when you're out here, but I'm definitely going to be trying to get onto this green. And this stuff out here is all optical illusion. Your red line, if your red line with a power 5 ball is in this area down here, it's going to be in this area up here. And so then you have to negotiate through this rough and look at how much farther away you are from the hole than you are here. Okay. You're a lot farther away. So if you have issues with lower developed stuff and you can't make it from here, you definitely can't make it from up here. Definitely. And I'm not sure if you could get enough roll up, even if you got over that and you got roll up, I'm not sure how far you could make it out there. I'm not sure that you could get out into this area if you got a bounce here and you could get over. I'm not sure. I know like in the rough area that I was in the rough way up there. I'm not sure if you can get that much forward roll so that you could get on the arc. If you draw the line and you do your little arc, that's where your club would be. So if you were right here, you'd be in the same range as right here. I don't know if you can get that far if you take the upper route, but I know that you can get that far on this lower route. All right, that was just some kind of a walkthrough on them. We'll have to play them. We've only played these holes one time, and they're really cool holes. But there's a lot of opportunities out there to pick shots up. Now, just a little bit of thought process. In the last tournament, in the Dreaded Dunes tournament, if you wanted to win, you needed to shoot a -30. I shot a -28 in the Dreaded Dunes and came in third. And it took me all the way until the very end of the front nine before I started picking some shots up. And then I shot a -14 on the front and a -14 on the back. And that's a decent score. And maybe in some brackets that might win, but really to give yourself a shot at a win. And even with a -30, there's no guarantee because you could be in one of those brackets where somebody shoots, and it's possible. There's a lot of holes here where we can pick up some shots. There's really only a couple holes that I see as being pretty difficult. The one where I'm doing the layup, unless you can get way out there and you get all of that right to go for Albie on that hole, there's a few of the holes that are going to be pretty difficult. So, there are opportunities to pick up shots. There's probably at least a good 6, 7 shots. Probably 6 shots, real serious shots where we could pick up shots. So you figure -12 is always the minimum. That puts us at 24. And you need to pick up 6 in order to get to 30. And that's 3 per side. So that means you're going to need to shoot a -15 a side in order to have a shot at a win. That's just the way this tournament is. So if you can shoot -30 plus, you're in the catbird seat. Now, if you're in one of those brackets, and we see them, my teammate Eco, he's plays in brackets where he had to shoot a -33 in the last tournament in order to win. And so it happens. But I think the mass majority of the brackets that are going to be out there in rookie are going to be, if you can shoot a -30, you're going to win. And if you can shoot anything better than a 28, you're at least giving yourself a shot at it. And a 28, you're giving yourself a shot at a banner, just depending on where you came in with tiebreakers. So I think, going in, we need to look at minus 24 as being the absolute minimum. And there's two of the par fours that we need to pick up shots. And just those holes by themselves gives you +4. Okay, so that puts you at 28, just picking up the eagles on those par fours. And anything else you can pick up is gravy. So as the week starts off, we want to be looking at the minimum score of minus 12 as where we want to start in our qualifying rounds to set ourselves up for tiebreakers. But we want to start building on that. We want to try and pick up those par fours. That puts us at minus 14 in the opening round. We want to be, so the way that my sheet says, my goal on my sheet says minus 30. Minus 30 is my goal. And anything that I can get above minus 30 is just a bonus. But we want to try and standardize this minus 12 so that we can shoot minus 12 with our eyes closed. And then we're just trying to pick shots up from that point. All right, that was 51 minutes and 7 seconds. Hopefully everybody has a good tournament. I'm really excited. I'm really happy. I shouldn't say I'm excited, but I'm really happy that this Origin Links tournament, we're not going to get to practice it. The holes are only going to be in Tour 12. And if you're a Masters player playing Tour 12 and you go down and you play Ricky in the Ricky tournament, the deal is that some of that stuff will equate, but most of it won't, because the wind is so high up there that even the approaches coming into the cup, the adjustments that you have to do for secondary wind effect and stuff are going to be off. So they may have a little bit of a leg up just because they got to go out and see the holes, but the mass majority of people are not going to get to practice. So that means that we're going to get to go into the tournament pretty well blind. I may play, my goal is I'm only going to play one account. I'm going to play my 77 account. And I may go out there with my odd account and play in the qualifying round just so that I can get a look at the holes before I start playing. So on Thursday, I may play 2 rounds. And I'll probably, on Thursday, if I have time, I may play, what's today, Tuesday? I'm going to have a little bit of time on Thursday, but I don't think I may have enough time to play 3. But I may just go out there and play 1 or 2 rounds. And then on Friday, my goal is just to play 1 account on Friday and 1 account on Saturday. So we'll have to see. I'll have to see how it goes. But I don't want to waste a lot of time on the Origin Links. I really want to focus on the Spring Major because majors are big. So winning a major tournament is more important than wasting a lot of time on the Origin Links. So I'm going to approach the Origin Links tournament as more of just a fun one-on-one thing. And my goal is going to be to go out there and go fairway to green and give myself a look on every single one of those holes. And if I can pick something up, I can pick it up. And if I can't, and see where the chips lay. But I really think that if you go out there and you just play fairway to green, and you pick up even just 1 or 2 shots, you're going to have a serious chance of winning, even if you just pick up 1. But a lot of people are going to play fairway to rough to rough to sand to sand. And so if you can go out there and just play consistent, you'll do really, really well. But I'm not going to waste a lot of my time playing the Origin Links. I really want to spend the majority of my weekend time playing friends and playing friendlies so that we can try and get these holes in Tour 4 so that we can really practice for the Spring Major. But everybody have a great week. Hopefully we can, we'll build on this as I start shooting some holes. I'll start posting some stuff. And Thursday, I'll start posting some gameplay with friends. If anybody wants to friend me, you can friend 77 Jackson on Facebook. And usually when I'm playing tournaments if I'm recording in a certain tour, I will just log in with an email address. But when I'm just looking to play, I'll log into my Facebook account so people can friendly me. And if you want to play, just send me a friend request, and it may take me a day or two. I don't check my Facebook account every day on there. I use it for just playing, but I will friend you, and we can get some games going. All right. Thanks for watching, and be safe out there, everybody.